Hey everybody, I'm Eboni K. Williams along with Eric Bolling and Katherine Timpf, and we are the Fox News specialists. It's a high drama news day in Washington. Sean Spicer resigning as White House press secretary. His decision coming after the appointment of Anthony Scaramucci as the White House communications director. Now there are a lot of fast moving developments, so we're going to go straight to Fox News chief White House correspondent John Roberts, who has more. John.
Eboni, good afternoon to you. This all happened very quickly, pretty much in the space of 24 hours. Anthony Scaramucci was here at the White House yesterday talking to the president. The subject of the communications job came up. The president said, hey, I like you. You're a great guy. You're very loyal. I like the way you get out there and you battle. The president really referring to the battle that Scaramucci had with CNN recently that ended up with 3 journalists being fired from that network, and said, how'd you like to be my communications director? Scaramucci said, fine, no problem. There was a bit of a war overnight when Steve Bannon, the president's chief strategist, and Reince Priebus, the chief of staff, were making the case against it. Scaramucci went back in to see the president at 10 o'clock this morning, and the president said, here's my decision. Everybody better get on the same page with it. However, White House press secretary Sean Spicer, kind of seeing the writing on the wall here of a lot of changes coming down and being really in opposition to Scaramucci coming in, said, look, Mr. President, I think it's best if you just have the running room to put your new team in. I am going to resign. Scaramucci has got a very, very difficult job, despite what the White House says. The ship here is listing badly in terms of trying to get its legislative achievements through and staying on message. So I put that question to Anthony Scaramucci, what he was going to do to try to fix it. Listen here. What is the first thing you're going to change to try to right this ship and put it on a course?
I take issue with that. I think the ship is going in the right direction. I think we've got to just radio signal the direction very, very clearly. I like the team. Let me rephrase that. I love the team. And so I'm an incrementalist. Most entrepreneurs you will find are incrementalists. To say something overly bold or overly dramatic is unfair. What good entrepreneurs do is they start the day and they go through the process. The Navy SEALs would tell you that if you want to eat an elephant, you got to eat it one bite at a time. And Sarah and I are going to do that together.
And it's a pretty big elephant, referring to Sarah Sanders, who's been named the press secretary. Now, Scaramucci said several times during the press briefing that he, quote, loves the president. Clearly, he's a big supporter of him. He wasn't always that way. Let's replay a clip for you from August of 2015 on the Fox Business Network, where Scaramucci wasn't exactly a huge fan of the president, and then what he said about it today. Listen.
You call Donald Trump a hack?
He's a hack politician. He's probably going to make Elizabeth Warren his vice presidential nominee with comments like that.
Do you think he's a
It's anti-American. It's very, very divisive. He brings it up every 15 seconds, okay? I should have never said that about him. So, Mr. President, if you're listening, I personally apologize for the 50th time for saying that.
Now, the really interesting thing that Scaramucci did there was he accepted the question that was from my colleague John Carl of ABC, reminding him of what he said. He owned it. He joked that the president reminds him of it all of the time, and then apologized for it. So that's now off the table and likely won't ever be brought up again, which is a very good strategy for a communications director. I'm told that while, Eboni, there was pushback on this from Steve Bannon, Priebus, and Sean Spicer, that Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump were very much on board with bringing Scaramucci into the White House. So he had probably 2 of his most powerful advocates right there who are both rooting for him. Eboni?
John, thank you so much. We're now going to bring in today's specialist. We'll do a really quick intro because we have a lot to get through. He serves as a deputy assistant to President Trump. Dr. Sebastian Gorka is one of our specialists today. Talk about perfect timing. And he is the co-host of the Bernie and Sid show on WABC. Bernard McGuirk is here with us. Thank you both for joining. Dr. Gorka, I will start with you because you obviously operate in such an elevated capacity with President Trump. One thing I take from John Roberts' report, it seems to be a bit of a communications triangle and a split camp, meaning Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump on one side, obviously advocating for Scaramucci, and then on the other side, Bannon and Reince Priebus, which you normally don't always see on the same side of things, but that seemed to be the case here on the Spicer camp. Your take?
Look, I'm just so excited. This idea that there's a listing ship, I mean, this was a fabulous day. Sarah is a champion. Tony just controlled that room. He had them eating out of the palm of his hand. A great day for our comms shop, basically.
Excellent. And Bernie, your take, I mean, we were in the newsroom virtually at the same time earlier when this came down. Were you surprised, shocked, your reaction?
I wasn't really surprised. I knew it would happen eventually, rather sooner probably rather than later. The briefings in general have turned into just useless spectacles, circuses, essentially, for grandstanding, biased, fake journalists like, I don't know, Jim Acosta to get gotcha questions out there. And I like Sean Spicer, but I think he was just temperamentally unsuited. A guy like Scaramucci, he's a tough guy. His father was a construction worker from Long Island. I mean, he can handle these people. He's almost like, he's very smooth. He's almost like a velvet hammer. And I think he can joust with these people and make it more effective. Instead of becoming a punchline, he can actually get the message out and make them look bad.
And Eric, yes, obviously we've had Anthony Scaramucci on our program. You've worked with him for years. He does have a temperament, to Bernie's point, that it's almost like it's a quiet strength sometimes that might play better with this White House press corps.
Yeah, and we're going to do, in the B block, I'm going to talk about why I think Sean Spicer stepping down was a great thing for the Trump administration across the board. Scaramucci, good friend, longtime friend of mine, also longtime. At one point, I think he was a contributor on Fox Business Network.
Absolutely.
But look, so we played a clip. I guess we wanted to play the clip of one time a year and a half ago, or almost 2 years ago, where he was, I think he was fundraising, if I'm not mistaken, for either Scott Walker or Jeb Bush, one of the two of them. And so but that's the kind of loyalty Anthony Scaramucci has. He's all in with his candidate, and he was then, and he realized at some point Donald Trump was the guy. He was going to be the one to beat Hillary Clinton. He switched the boat, got onto the Trump boat, and he's been there from the very vast majority of the campaign. Let me just point something out. Anthony Scaramucci and Donald Trump are very similar, right? Donald Trump and both business guys, both similar demeanors, both winners. I think this is better fit and match for Donald Trump in the communications department. Remember, you got to deliver a message than Spicer ever was or ever would have been.
Yeah, Kat, I was going to ask you about the fact that, a lot of people have said the communications has really failed President Trump. It's been,
he said it.
He said it, the competing narratives. Do you think Scaramucci represents an opportunity to get on one accord?
I think that it's a very tough job because I think President Trump does sometimes change his mind. But one important difference that I noticed is that Scaramucci appeared to be having a nice time today. Even when he was being faced with some of the things he said in the past, he looked like he was having fun. Sean Spicer would sometimes just be like, which I don't blame him. I don't know why anybody ever wants to be anybody's press secretary. Your job is literally to explain the behavior of other people. I would never want to do that for a living. It's very, very stressful, but he seemed to enjoy doing it, and I think that was a good look.
But can I add one more thing? I mean, just to reinforce what Eric said. It's not just the similar backgrounds or temperaments. Tony talks like the president, and he connects. Okay, he may be a very successful individual from the finance sector, but he can communicate with the Americans that put Donald J. Trump into the White House. So this is all around a winner.
There's also one little other quirk, too, that maybe you didn't pick up. If you're listening very carefully, Scaramucci said, I will be reporting directly to the president.
Yes.
Now, Sebastian, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Spicer was never reporting directly to Donald Trump. He was going through likely Reince Priebus, am I right?
He has what Tony said today, and that doesn't surprise me or shouldn't surprise anybody else who knows Tony and the relationships in the White House, that he has direct office access. So he can walk into the Oval whenever he wants.
That's very important distinction there. Anthony Scaramucci also struck a very graceful note today about Sean Spicer and the Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus.
For me, as it relates to Sean, it speaks volumes to who he is as a human being, who he is as a team player. Okay, so his attitude is, if Anthony's coming in, let me clear the slate for Anthony, and I do appreciate that about Sean, and I love him for it. But I don't have any friction with Sean. I don't have any friction with Reince. This is the White House, the United States of America, and we're serving the president. And I want to make sure that our cultural template is that we put the president's agenda first, which is perfect for the American people, and we serve his interests.
Now, Eric, that sounds fantastic, and I think he's, hitting the right tone there. But a lot of people feel like there's beef, right? There's beef between at least Sean Spicer
Sean
and
Spicer
Scaramucci.
quit, as it was being announced that Anthony Scaramucci was going to be his boss.
Felt a little dramatic, I don't know.
Well, yeah. Okay, so yes, I agree. I think Anthony was being very diplomatic there by saying I don't have a beef with either one of those. I think there probably was. I think there probably was a rift. Remember, Reince Priebus ran the RNC. Sean Spicer worked with Reince Priebus prior to being on board with the Trump administration. Right. They weren't pro-Trump at the very beginning.
They felt very established.
At one point, if I'm not mistaken, they may have said maybe Trump should pull out of the race. If I'm not, I could be
probably
wrong.
Maybe after the Access Hollywood, I think you might be right.
So there was that, that column of power, President Priebus, Spicer, and Anthony comes in and maybe disrupts that. So I don't know that it is as
amicable
as that, but we're in a better place.
Either way, you have to do what's right for the president and for the country. Feelings aside, I mean, you need a certain amount of toughness, a certain equanimity, a certain amount of wit to disarm people with humor or whatever. And sadly, and he's a great guy, United States Naval Reserve, Sean Spicer didn't have that. I mean, our friend Sebastian Gorka has it in spades. God, look, remember him on CNN?
I did not want that job.
You don't want
I want
that
a
job.
root canal before that job.
I thought you were going to be named the press secretary.
Kat is right. The idea that I'm supposed to be, telepathically linked to somebody else and to stand in that room for a fist fight with, fake news representatives.
It's not telepathic. You know he's emailing. He's texting him while he's at the podium.
Yeah. And that's true. I mean, we were talking about that this morning as well. But I think the ability to anticipate, Kat, where President Trump, because it can change, right? Like a light switch. And I think that makes the job really hard. But maybe this is where Scaramucci will be better positioned. He seems to understand the tone, the tenor, the texture of President Trump a lot better than, say, maybe Sean Spicer, who is much more of an establishment guy. Maybe Scaramucci's ability to anticipate will be better suited for this.
Yeah, and he did such a great job. He just got the job, and then here you go. Go to work. That was a real test for him, and I thought he did very well.
I think he did well as well. Anthony Scaramucci also brushing off perceptions about the White House facing mounting turmoil.
I don't see this guy as a guy that's ever under siege. This is a very, very competitive person. Obviously, there's a lot of incoming that comes into the White House, but the president's a winner, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to do a lot of winning.
There's that key phrase, Eric Bolling.
I don't know, Ebony. I'm not tired of winning. That's one point.
Still not.
Trump was wrong. Mark the calendar 5/11 on Friday. Trump was wrong. I'm not tired of winning yet.
Still not tired of winning.
Still not.
Bernie, how about you? You tired of winning?
Not at all. And I think, listen, let's face it. The administration, this Russian obsession, this collusion, delusion, as I've heard said before, hoax, is just it's a red herring, as they say. And things are going along swimmingly. The stock market, the immigration thing, the pulling out of the Paris
What about that health care, though, Bernie? Is that
I know, look, that's a problem with the Congress. You have Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan are like the Chris Darden and Marsha Clark of the Congress. They can't get anything done, and everything is there for them. They have the House, they have the Senate, they have the executive branch. And so that's really not Trump's fault, but he's doing his best, and it will get done. But in the meantime, things aren't so bad. We're not at war with anybody. I think things are going along just fine.
With terror.
We're decimating ISIS as we speak. They took Mosul back. Raqqa's on the way out. Yes, we are at war with terror, but it's going well is the point, I think.
All right. Doctor, do you think that at this point, Scaramucci, because he's coming in now 6 months in, kind of a clean slate, this is a better opportunity? Because we've talked about reset a few different times so far with the Trump administration, but do you think this is an opportunity, communications-wise, for the reset? Because there's actually a new director and then also a new press secretary.
Look, I think people need to have a bit of historic perspective. Both President Obama, both President Bush had 4 or 5 press secretaries. So this is not unusual. Every administration finds its feet in the first few months, first year.
4 or 5? I don't remember 4 or 5.
Yes, exactly. I just checked it.
Oh, okay.
I checked it. So, and the other issue is, I just want to cast this miasma, this fog about these ideological camps inside the White House and that there's this massive tension day to day. I remember clearly, this was the second month of the administration. I came in at 7 a.m. and I found Steve Bannon and Reince Priebus bent over a desk looking at the Washington Post or the Times. And they were belly laughing. You know why? Because Steve said to Reince, "Oh, you hate me today? I thought you were supposed to hate me." It's just so bogus. This is a team of mature professionals. As Anthony said today, sometimes there's going to be tension. There's going to be tension when you're on Wall Street, when you own your own company, but they're adults and they get things done. So today, massive win.
Well, that would certainly be for the betterment of America and for the American people, Kat.
Yeah, I agree, and I like the way things are going on with this. However, still the Russia thing. I know you say it's a hoax. I know you say it's a hoax. I know you most certainly say that it is a hoax.
It's a delusion,
and then more
the collusion delusion,
yeah,
my
exactly.
dear.
I'm a little bothered by the reports of him allegedly President Trump saying that he would asking questions about pardoning powers and those kinds of things. I'm going to wait and see if that happens before I decide to go crazy about it. However, if Hillary Clinton were in office and there was an email investigation that was still going on and, there was little birdie saying that she was trying to pardon people and investigate investigators, everybody here would be upset about that. So I'm just trying to be consistent.
I think that's a fair point. Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but tonight, 10 p.m., do not miss Hannity. This is the one you really want to see. He's speaking with Sean Spicer. That big interview will be out tonight. Check it out. And straight ahead, Eric's Wake Up America on today's big White House shakeup. You don't want to miss that either. Stay with us.
Time to wake up, America. Spicer is out. Now, if you're looking for a nice attaboy, Sean, or you did a good job, Sean, or tough job you had there, Sean, you're looking in the wrong place. Sean Spicer quit the press secretary job today. That's a really positive thing for the White House Communications Department, and let me explain. White House Communications is all about the message. Effective message delivery is three-pronged. First prong, delivering the message, the strategy of the message, or how they roll out the president's agenda. Second prong, managing that message. Think of driving a car, working the gas pedal and the brakes, knowing when to use both, and certainly steering the message. And the third prong, likely the simplest prong, is the actual delivery of that message. Now, Sean had trouble managing the message from the very first appearance in front of the press. Remember that first press event? The Sunday after inauguration, Sean entered the press room, guns a-blazing, and he immediately put the press on the defensive, and that combative nature persisted through his time as secretary. Sean became too much of the story. He was a regular Saturday Night Live parody. Late-night shows poked fun at him. There were internet memes, all what we think of when we think of Sean Spicer's name, rather than the man effectively delivering Trump's message. So look, folks, Sean Spicer, nice guy. But President Trump ran and won on draining the swamp, and the swamp happens to be filled with longtime D.C. types like Sean Spicer. Anthony Scaramucci, however, is a huge upgrade for the Trump comm shop. He's a loyalist to the America First agenda, a businessman like Trump, and most importantly, he's someone who understands and agrees with President Trump's plan to make America great again, and that's a good thing. So Godspeed, Mooch. But in the end, but no one at this table would disagree with this, Donald J. Trump is his own best spokesman, bar none. Now, Bernie, my issue with Spicer is that we talked about a little in the A. I know you like him, but he was that establishment type, and I never could understand why Trump would put the establishment types in his administration.
Thought he was a very effective spokesperson before the election. I thought he was really good. I mean, he bucked the establishment to join the Trump train. And I thought he was great at it. It's just that in the face of this barrage of vitriol directed towards all things Trump, he wilted under the pressure. But I think he meant well. He's a good guy, and he was on the team. He just, who knew? He just didn't have it, that he was as excitable as he turned out to be. I don't think anybody could have gauged that, or the hatred that would be directed towards him by the entertainment media, the vicious, unfunny late-night clowns and Saturday Night Live, all of them.
Doc, they hated him, as Bernie points out, but they're gonna miss having Sean Spicer, right?
Can I just get us to focus on what happened today? Because we're not replacing Sean with Tony. This is very important. The media needs to get this right. We've had the director of communications slot empty since Dubke left. That's Tony's job. Tony was superb today, but he wasn't there to be the press spokesman. That's Sarah's job, and she's fantastic. So this isn't Tony replaces Sean. This is Sarah stepping up to the plate.
You a little bit. But Sean filled that void after Dubke left.
As a temporary measure.
As a temporary measure.
Right.
But part of that three-pronged strategy of delivering the message was developing the message and managing the message. That was never done. Spicer delivered a message, but a lot of times from this side of the camera, it looked like they were shooting a bunch of stuff.
Listen to what Tony said today. He nailed it. He said, this is a new age. Somebody tried to, a journalist at the end tried to give him a hardball about, well, don't teach us how to package something and we won't, we won't tell you how to do whatever. And he said, that's so 1980s. I mean, this is, everybody has a camera, has a video, has access to the internet and their phone. This is the man that will give us the strategy. Tony gets it. Tony gets it.
No, you're misreading me. I'm not undermining Scaramucci's ability to do that. I'm saying it's been 6 months that we haven't had someone to do that.
Well, now we do.
Let me bring Eboni in. Eboni,
yeah, I was going to say, I completely agree with that. I want to say delivery. When your prongs, Eric, that is probably, I think, the most important part, and that's what I mean, I don't know him. You guys know him. Maybe he's a good guy. He didn't come across particularly likable. He didn't come across no buy-in, you know, and I'm not saying, look, when you're representing President Trump, particularly to this White House press corps, it's going to be hostile, right? So I think getting in front of that, finding space of connectivity, you don't have to set it up to be so adversarial off the jump. I think that was a huge mistake. I agree with you, Eric, that very first press conference, talking about the crowd size of the inauguration. From that point on, Sean Spicer had no credibility with this White House press corps, and it went downhill from there. I think he resented that. He was made fun of, and he took it very badly.
Kat, is there a honeymoon period? The press was fairly nice to Scaramucci today. Mm-hmm. Will this persist, or are they going to start attacking
There's going to be the SNL sketches. There's going to be the memes. People are going to make fun of him, too. That's just part of having a job like that.
But he can make fun of himself a little bit, too, right?
Exactly. He can make, and that's the difference. It's the exact difference, is that he can make fun of himself, and he seems to kind of enjoy it. I don't know why possibly that Sean Spicer would have decided to, as you said, Eboni, start off that way, by attacking the media, who he has to work with every day. I don't understand why he would do that. He looked miserable all the time, and
they got under his skin, and they knew it, and they knew it.
And I get it. I don't want the job. I'd rather have any other job in the world, any other disgusting, weird anything than be a press secretary.
Scaramucci's going to be able to fight back. They're going to be afraid of Scaramucci because he got 3 fake CNN journalists fired. I mean, he actually fights back, and that's going to put the fear of God into him, something that Spicer didn't do. Nice guy that he was, and I hate to kick a guy when he's down on his way out, to be quite honest with you. I mean, the guy tried his best, and he was humiliated, and now he's gone.
I think he's happy to be gone, though, if his demeanor during those conferences suggests anything.
Not sure about that one. Up next, O.J. Simpson's parole being met with dismay from the family members of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. Ron Goldman's sister, Kim, is here. She joins us next with a reaction.
I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do. Although my heart is falling too. I'm in love with your body. And last night you were in my room. And now my bedsheet.
O.J. Simpson's green light for parole is being met with disappointment and frustration from the family members of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson. Kim Goldman is the sister of Ron Goldman. Ron was murdered along with Nicole Brown back in 1994. She joins us now on the phone. Hi, you there? Hi, Kim?
Hi, I'm here. Hi.
Hi. First of all, I wanted to say I'm so sorry for everything that you must be going through, and I know you've said that this is an injustice and it must be very upsetting, but I wanted to ask you, even apart from that, in addition to that, do you see this as being a danger? Do you think this is going to be a dangerous thing for society? Does it make you feel unsafe?
I don't know that I necessarily think that it's a danger. I wish that we would have known a little bit more about how he was rehabilitated while he was in prison and how that might impact his parole. But I don't know. I personally don't feel unsafe. He's never come after me in all these years, but just wish we would have known a little bit more about that.
Kim, it's Eric Bolling. So OJ's a known batterer of women. We've seen the pictures. I believe he played no contest to killing your brother and Nicole Brown Simpson. He's been convicted of armed robbery. What do you have to say to the parole board, who yesterday set him free on the grounds that he may not be a danger to people on the street anymore?
Well, I don't know that they set him free for those reasons. They didn't really go into that. That's what I'm saying. I wish that they would have taken into consideration that we were successful in a civil system, and the civil system said that he was responsible for killing Ron and Nicole. That's pretty violent, if you ask me. We do have all those recordings of Nicole fearing for her life. I think it's disrespectful that they discredited those things by saying that he's conflict-free. But this is how our system works.
Kim, Eboni K. Williams here. Again, so sorry, not just for your loss, but what I'm sure feels like having to replay and relive that emotionally every time something like this is in the national news. My question is this. You brought up you guys as a family were successful in the civil lawsuit. I think $33 million, something to that effect, was granted, but you've only seen about 1% of that. Can you speak a little bit about what the family intends to do in terms of pursuing what is, legally yours?
Well, our judgment back in '97 was valued at $33.5 million between ours and the Brown family. It is now our portion specifically is close to $60 million with interest over the years. We will continue to pursue that just as we have for all these years because that is our right. And that is the only way that we can enforce punishment for him killing Ron and Nicole. So we'll continue to do what we've always done.
And Kim, I don't know, Bolling, I'm not sure, maybe Eboni knows this, but future earnings, he can't earn off of the crimes, but can you go after just some of his other earnings? I heard he's going to get somewhere between $19,000 and $25,000 per month from the NFL. Can you try and go after that at some point?
No, his pensions are all protected. When he had a home in Miami, everything's protected under the homestead law. He also lives in Florida, where it's a right-to-work state, so we don't have the ability to attach to any of those things. He's in a debtor-friendly state. That's why he moved there. So he's 100% protected.
Exactly, Kim. And another question for you. It's my understanding that the relationship between your brother Ron and Nicole Brown Simpson was relatively new prior to their brutal killings. Can you give us some insight as to what you guys, know about how they became friends and really what the nature of that relationship was like so briefly before their tragic killings?
I don't really know any more than just the fact that they were friends. It was a small community. Everybody kind of knew everybody. Other than that, I don't think there was anything beyond just acquaintances or friends. That's all we know.
Do you know how they met?
My brother. Nope. I mean, like I said, Brentwood, for if you've never been there, it's a pretty small community. There's only a couple of streets. So I'm sure just at the gym or at Starbucks or my brother's restaurant. I have no idea.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you also, there's been talk of him maybe getting a reality show, of him trying to capitalize on some of these things. And this has been a story that has been enduring in the media. And how do you feel when you see people offering him things like that?
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, he is someone who garners a tremendous amount of attention wherever he goes. He would be a hot ticket. I just want to remind people that he is subject to a $60 million judgment. And if you are complicit in helping him launder that money, like Judith Reagan was when she published his If I Did It book, then we'll come for you because that's against the law.
Right.
Kim, very, very quickly before we go, do you have anything to say to O.J. Simpson?
No. I honestly, he doesn't care what I have to say, nor do I care what he has to say. I'm very clear that the evidence supports what my beliefs are, and what 90-some-odd% of this country believes now is that he is responsible for killing Ron and Nicole. And I'm comfortable with how I've lived my life with integrity and grace, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens next in his life.
Final question, Kim. Last year we saw a lot of television and documentary, the FX series and things of this nature, really rehashing the tragic killings of Ron and Nicole. What's your perspective and vantage point on that? Just kind of the continued national fascination with the case and the murders.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, my dad and I get accused often of not being able to get on, with our life or move on, or why don't we have closure? And I just want to remind people that it's not entirely in my control to be able to do that. People have the right to talk about it and tweet about it and Facebook about it and do documentaries and reality shows and everything they want, regardless if I participate. And people are fascinated. They still argue about this case. People are still very vested in it, and I just hope that people learn from it and have healthy dialogue around it, as opposed to just being negative.
Kim, this is Kat. Thank you.
Yeah, Kim, are you mad at OJ? I'm furious at the guy. Are you mad at OJ?
Of course, he stabbed my brother to death and decapitated his wife. If I didn't have anger, which is very appropriate for the person that brutally stabbed two people to death, I don't. Of course, I am.
Okay.
However, having said that, it doesn't debilitate me in any way. It doesn't make me not able to live a healthy life and to be able to run my nonprofit organization or do victim advocacy work. It doesn't debilitate me. It just is a very targeted and compartmentalized feeling towards an appropriate person that should be receiving it.
All right. God bless you, Kim, and your family.
Thanks, Kim, for joining us. All right,
Thank you. No problem.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, the U.S. will now ban Americans from visiting North Korea after the death of Otto Warmbier. What it means for the standoff with the rogue state, next.
Welcome back. Time to reintroduce our Fox News specialists today are Dr. Sebastian Gorka and Bernie McGuirk, and we'll continue the conversation right now. If you've been planning that dream vacation to North Korea, you now are out of luck. The United States State Department announcing today that the U.S. citizens will be banned from visiting the Hermit Kingdom, citing mounting concerns about the serious risk of arrest. The move comes after the horrific death of U.S. student Otto Warmbier last month. The decision is on the heels of some provocative comments made by CIA Director Mike Pompeo at a security conference yesterday, where he spoke out about North Korea's nuclear systems and hinted, well, take a listen.
As for the regime, I'm hopeful we will find a way to separate that regime from this system.
It's an interesting answer.
The North Korean people, I'm sure, are lovely people and would love to see him go as well. As you might know, they don't live a very good life there.
Okay, Doc. Interesting comment, because he said, I'm hopeful we will find a way to separate that regime from the system. What's he mean?
We don't give our game plan away. That's the last 8 years. But we maintain that this nation is a pariah and is a threat not only to the region but to our nation. Just the idea alone that somebody would want to go to holiday to a nation that maintains labor camps, let's just think about that, that is constantly in flagrant breach of every single weapons of mass destruction or ballistic missile testing requirement upon them. So Director Pompeo is a very serious man, and he knows of what he speaks.
Bernie, I think we'd all agree, don't go to North Korea on vacation. But I'm kind of intrigued by this. Hey, let's separate that administration from his people.
Well, yeah, I agree with the doctor here. Of course, the people would be very grateful. Unlike some of the people in the Middle East, when you liberate them, they end up hating you for it. Over there, I think it would matter. They would actually appreciate it. But as far as they don't live well, I mean, the fact of the matter is that thanks to this well-fed little freak with the Mo Howard haircut, these people are starving, frightened zombies. This is a war crime. This is terrible what's happening over there. So I don't know what people could do about it. I know that Hawaii is supposed to get some missile defense. I think people like Japan and South Korea should worry. The odds of him hitting Hawaii accurately aren't that great. But Japan, who they hate historically, and the doctor would know this as well, the Koreans loathe the Japanese. I mean, that could happen at any time. It's a disgusting place. I don't even want to make jokes about touring there, because it's such a terrible situation.
Kat, I'm still looking at this. I'm looking at his answer, and I hope it means what I would hope it means and what I think it means, but I'm not sure he means that regime change. Time to make that happen.
If there was a simple way to do it, it's a lot harder than it sounds. In terms of banning people from going there, that's interesting to me on principle. In terms of individual liberty, I don't know if I agree with that. I also don't know how necessary it is. After we all saw what happened with Otto Warmbier, I don't know how many people are itching to go over there. So that was interesting to me.
About 1,000 a year.
I was going to say, I think a lot.
But if that's what they want to do, then I guess that I don't see the point of a policy like this.
I think this is where I would kind of disagree with that, Kat. I hear you about personal liberties, and you would think logically people wouldn't go there, but people will, absolutely. And I think because of the stakes that the United States finds themselves in terms of trying to negotiate to get them back and things like this, the ban becomes warranted.
Let me be clear. Some people go there for charitable purposes, okay? And you will still be able to apply for a special validation on your passport. All other Americans, their passport is not going to be valid for travel to North Korea, because we are concerned about the potential arrest and detention of our citizens. And we're not going to answer the questions of what we're going to do, but Eric, we are going to protect our citizens. That's the key thing, and the age of appeasement is over. That's what the message is about.
All right, we got to leave right there. Up next, Kat on the street. Democrats are so desperate these days, a new poll finds most of them would give up drinking if it would get President Trump out of office. So naturally, Kat had to hit up a bar and find out more. Don't go away.
All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know.
It's no secret that Democrats are having a tough time with the Trump presidency. But a recent survey shows just how desperate they're getting. 73% of Democrats said they would give up booze for the rest of their lives if it meant President Trump would be impeached tomorrow. So it only seemed appropriate for me to head to a bar in Times Square to investigate further. 73% of Democrats say that they would quit drinking forever to impeach President Trump. What do you think about that?
Never. Not at all.
No, yeah, I wouldn't either.
I agree with that totally.
You would quit drinking to impeach President Trump.
Yes, I would.
That's fine if that's what they believe.
Would you do that?
No.
I love Trump. I mean, he's the greatest president we've had so far.
Okay, so would you quit drinking to keep Trump as president?
I'd quit doing anything you want me to do.
In order to keep President Trump president, would you sleep on a bale of hay for the rest of your life?
Absolutely.
Keep in mind, you could keep drinking as much as you want, so it might not even be that hard. Would you give up tying your shoelaces forever to impeach President Trump?
No.
You gotta have your shoelaces tied.
My shoelaces tied. I can't trip everywhere.
I won't wear shoes no more.
Okay. To impeach President Trump, would you stop tying your shoelaces?
Maybe.
And you're only allowed to wear shoes with laces.
Oh, dang. Now you're getting tricky.
Who's your least favorite politician?
Barack Obama.
Probably say my least favorite politician is Hillary Clinton.
Kim Jong-un.
I also have a firm anti-Kim Jong-un stance in my own beliefs. While Obama was in office, would you give up drinking to impeach him?
Yes.
Would you change your name to Mr. Cantaloupe to impeach Barack Obama? If ever anyone says hi to you, you have to say, it's Mr. Cantaloupe time back.
Okay, maybe.
Maybe. That's a maybe. Okay. Would you quit drinking to get Bernie in there?
I would reinstate prohibition to get Bernie in there.
So you would make all of us stop drinking?
Yes.
Well,
Once
what?
they're in the office, I'm sure Bernie would be like, all right, that's it. We can all drink again.
And then everyone would like him more because he's the guy who let us drink again. But everybody wouldn't like you because you made us stop.
That's fine.
But you do that for Bernie.
Absolutely. It's for the greater good.
Would you give up drinking for world peace?
Sure.
Yes.
Yes.
You gotta say yes or else you're ostracized. Would you give up being able to smile?
Yeah, I don't smile much anyway.
I don't really either. People always say I should smile more, but why? Would you agree to have 4 extra fingers growing out of your head to impeach Hillary Clinton if she were president?
If it could help me pull that lever for Trump in the next election, then yeah.
What about 2 fingers? So it's just like this.
Yeah, I can get 2.
2 fingers?
Yes, I can.
3?
3, yeah.
3, but not 4.
4?
Four?
No, 4 is difficult.
4 is where you draw the line?
It's the that fourth finger.
Nice job.
Cantaloupe. We have a
Mr.
cantaloupe for some reason. So,
Mr.
So you can call
Cantaloupe.
me Mr. Cantaloupe
Would you-
for the rest of my life to keep Trump in office?
Yeah.
Done.
And
No
you would
problem.
carry the cantaloupe too.
Do I have to carry it
Yeah.
the rest of my life?
Yeah, or else Trump's not the president anymore. We can't make America great again, Eric.
I'll do my best.
Carry the cantaloupe
Yeah.
all the time.
You'll do it.
I'm only a little, yeah. I kind of figured that you'd think that.
Very
Figured
nice.
you'd think that.
Very nice.
But you know, it was Bernie. What about you? What would you give up drinking?
Absolutely not. That's
Yeah.
all stupid. And by the way, that 70%, they're all liars. They all
Yeah.
said they would go to Canada. Nobody went to Canada. It's a bunch of crap. And if you ever, you see these protesters at the ever dwindling Trump protests, you see some of these purple-haired, angry freaks. Give up some food. You ever see these people? You think with all that marching, they'd lose some poundage.
Hey,
Give up some food.
Fat-shaming the protesters.
That's
Bernie?
right. That's
Oh,
right.
my
It appears
God.
to be exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, there you go.
I love it.
Fat shaming and whiny shaming.
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go.
I love it.
Listen, I mean, I think that they are too. I think that they would probably be secretly.
I don't drink, so I'll take the deal.
Really? Yeah, you'll take the deal. But what about the shoelaces deal?
That was interesting.
That's tough.
I can take that one because I can count
But you
on
know
one
what?
hand how many pairs of, like, how many times I wear sneakers.
Yeah,
or
I
shoes
have,
with
like,
laces.
yeah.
Kat,
never.
Eric, Eboni, my friend, he doesn't need our help.
Yeah.
He's going all the way.
But if he needed you to leave your shoelaces untied, if he gave you a call and he said, listen,
I'm good.
can't tie your shoes.
You're in?
I'm in.
I'm in. Well, that's very.
That's commitment.
I'm sure he appreciates
what?
that. 'cause
Yeah,
it's a very
that's the
likely
loyalty
scenario.
that we know he values.
I would give up hairspray. How about
Oh, what a big sacrifice,
that? That's what
Bernie.
I'll do. That's the kind of guy I am.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
With
All right.
friends like you.
Well, when we return, we're going to circle back with our specialists, Dr. Sebastian Gorka and Bernard McGuirk.
Let me get it right.
It's that time again, time to circle back with our specialists, Dr. Sebastian Gorka and Bernie McGuirk. All right, Bernie, we know that you host the Bernie and Sid Show on 77 WABC Monday through Friday.
Imus in the morning.
And Imus in the
preceding
morning.
that, as a matter of fact, yes, on WABC and all around the country. And he
wait.
just told me to take these ugly blanking glasses off my mush.
So he's watching the show just for you, Bernie, or does he watch the show
No,
regularly?
he loves Eric Bolling and Eboni and Kat. He loves all you guys. He watches
we love
every day.
we love
It's great.
Imus.
Yes.
So
Good
this
man,
is what
good
I'm going to
man.
offer you, Bernie. You and Sid are a little bit apart today. Special message. Look right in the camera. Give Sid a special shout out.
Sid, I love you, and I miss you, and I'm very sorry for cheating on you.
And you'll be back together August 4th right here on The Specialist.
I'm The Specialist, baby.
All right.
Very exciting. I wanted to ask you a question, Sebastian. You seem like a very tough guy. Are you afraid of anything? And if so, what is it?
Afraid of anything?
Yeah.
I was afraid of Hillary winning the election.
But now, not at all?
No. I sleep so well every night.
How about when he said to Anderson Cooper, Anderson, that is absolutely laughable. SpongeBob has more credibility than you and CNN in your ratings.
Will they take you back? You've had a good time over there.
I don't know. I mean, I so enjoy it, but they haven't invited me back yet.
I wonder
so
why.
CNN, I'm here, okay?
You'll be back.
Because you're
You'll
like
be back. Yeah.
3 wins, no losses so far, I think.
Look, the really funny thing is Jake Tapper kind of threw in this snarky thing at the end of our interview.
Oh, yes,
saying,
he did.
You know, well, I'm sure Ben Rhodes would debate you. And I said, bring it on. Right. What's happened for the last week? Total radio silence from Ben Rhodes. It's hilarious.
Dr. Gorka, fearless he is.
Oh, can I promote something?
Yeah. Go for it.
The president, Tuesday, Youngstown, Ohio, back on the campaign trail, and he's going to give us a sterling vet speech.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you to our Fox News specialists today, Dr. Sebastian Gorka and Bernie McGuirk. And thank you all for watching at home. Make sure you follow us on our social media pages at Specialist FNC on both Twitter and Facebook. 5 o'clock will never be the same. Don't miss Hannity's exclusive tonight.